So it's not a big secret anymore that most of your success at the poker tables is going to come off the backs of the weaker players. And as a 10+ year professional poker player myself, I don't like to beat around the bush. Most of my profits have come from the recreational players. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through the 7 clear signs you can look for next time you're playing poker in order to quickly spot the weaker players. Let's jump into it. Number 1, paying off obvious draws. All right, guys, so this is a classic sign of one of our fishy friends at the poker tables. That's one of those amateur players who just plays the game for fun. They don't take this game seriously like you do. So you call pre-flop with the Jack 10 of hearts, a beautiful little suited connector that I highly suggest you play in nearly all situations, and the flop comes down with the King of hearts, 6 of spades, and deuce of hearts. So boom, we have flopped a flush draw on this board, and what that means is we can catch any of the 9 remaining hearts in the deck to make a nearly unbeatable 5-card flush. So they decide to make a bet here. What should you do? Well, I will say that a lot of the time here I will go ahead and raise. I've made many videos on the past talking about how raising your draws gives you 2 ways to win instead of just 1. And basically what that means is when you raise, you can just force them out of the pot right now, which is always a clear win for us. However, I've also mentioned many times that I never do anything in poker 100% of the time. I am always operating on frequencies, and so in this particular hand we decide to just call. So the turn comes down with the 8 of clubs. They check. What should you do? Well, guys, if you've been following me over the years, you know that I'm all about pouncing on weakness at the poker table. I talk about this in all of my poker books. So you decide to make a strong bet here in order to take this pot down right now, but this is a recreational player, of course, so they're going to go ahead and make the call. Let's go see the river now of the 3 of hearts. Boom, we have hit the flush on the river here. We almost certainly have the best hand, but they decide to bet. What on earth is going on here? Well, honestly, guys, it really doesn't matter what they have because we got the flush. We're gonna make a big raise here. They go deep into the tank and they decide to make the call with the King of spades and the Jack of diamonds. Guys, I'm gonna be honest, never do this. When somebody raises you big on the river, when the super obvious flush draw comes through like this, you absolutely have to fold your top pair hand. It is never good. This is what amateur poker players do. You're better than that. All right, let's move on to number 2, donk bets. So donk bets is a term that goes way back in poker. Donk stands for donkey. Don't ask me where this stuff all came from, but it basically means when somebody leads into you against the flow of the action. Let me give you an example. You raise it up with the Ace of hearts and the King of spades, and the flop comes down with one of these paired boards, the 7 of diamonds, 7 of spades, and 4 of hearts. So they decide to bet into you. What on earth is going on here? This is a 7-7-4 flop. What exactly are they representing? Are they trying to say they have a 7? Well, if they have a 7, why are they betting? Most amateur players would slow play that hand, so that hand doesn't make any sense. Are they betting into us with a 4? Well, that's not a very strong hand, so why would they be betting with that hand? Or are they just betting into us for something to do to see where they're at with absolutely nothing? Bingo, that's what most amateurs are doing here most of the time, and that is why we are going to make the call with Ace King high. Remember, we have the best no pair hand currently possible, and we know it is very hard for them to have anything on a paired board like this. So the turn comes down with the Queen of clubs. They check. What should you do? Guys, you just want to make a strong bet here and take this pot down right now. And a lot of people will say, but Nathan, we don't have anything here. It doesn't matter. They have checked. They have shown weakness. You want to use your positional advantage right now. They go ahead and fold. Guys, I'm going to be frank here. It is okay to mix in some donk bets into your game. You absolutely should lead into the pre-flop raiser from time to time, but this should be a small part of your range. If you are routinely doing this with crappy hands like amateurs do a large portion of the time, you are simply bleeding chips at the poker table. Number 3, re-raising trap hands. So this is a classic sign of an amateur poker player, and I'm talking specifically about hands like King Jack and Queen Jack. We refer to these as trap hands in poker, and I'm going to give you an example right now of why that's the case. So you raise it up with the Ace of hearts and the Queen of spades, and one of our fishy friends 3-bets us. Now, a 3-bet in poker is just another term for a re-raise, so you decide to make the call. We have Ace Queen after all, which is a premium hand. Let's go see the the flop of the 10 of hearts, queen of clubs, and 4 of diamonds. So boom, we have hit top pair, top kicker on this board, but they decide to bet. So we're just going to go ahead and make the call here as an 85% favorite, by the way. Now, a lot of people will be tempted to make the raise here, but guys, remember, they did re-raise us before the flop here, so I will often give them some credit. This is already a bit of a bloated pot. Let's just exercise some pot control right now. Let's go see the turn of the 5 of spades. So they decide to bet again, and you call. We've still got top pair, top kicker. The 5 of spades is a really harmless card. I'm not going anywhere, especially against a recreational player. River comes down with the 7 of hearts. They make another bet. Well, guys, at this point, I think you need to ask yourself, if you're not going to call here on the river, why are you calling with ace queen before the flop? So you decide to make the call. They flip over the queen of spades and the jack of clubs. Yes, they were behind the entire way. Guys, this is why you do not re-raise pre-flop with trap hands like this, because you're just going to get called by a dominated hand like ace queen, which has you in a terrible spot if you happen to flop top pair. By the way, if you're ready to take your game to the next level, there are literally hundreds of step-by-step examples just like this inside my Elite Poker University training. I have just opened up enrollment. I will leave a link below this video. Number 4, playing trash. So guys, this is the number one reason why people lose at poker. All of the hands I'm about to list for you right now are pure junk. You need to be folding them before the flop. So these are hands like an ace 9, an ace 5, a king 8, a queen 9, a 9 7, or a 7 5. And honestly, it doesn't even matter if they're suited or not. These hands are pure trash. They are long-term losing hands. And the biggest reason why so many amateurs struggle to win at the poker table is because they routinely play trashy hands like this. By the way, if you want to know all of the hands that I suggest playing in all situations, you can simply study the charts in my free poker cheat sheet. You're never going to have to guess again. It's totally free. I will leave a link to grab it just below this video. But let's move on to number 5 now, which is never folding pocket aces. So guys, this is another classic amateur mistake. Let me give you an example. You call with the 8 7 of diamonds. Flop comes down with the 6 of hearts, 5 of clubs, and deuce of diamonds. They make a bet. What should you do? Well, once again, guys, I will often raise here with a draw because this is going to give us multiple ways to win the pot, but we decide to just make the call in this spot. Turn comes down with the 4 of spades. Boom, we have hit the unbeatable nut straight on this board. And the nuts, by the way, in poker just means the best hand possible or one of the best hands possible. And in this particular situation, we literally have the best hand possible on this board. In fact, this is an incredible situation because if they happen to have a 3 in their hand, they also have a straight, but we have the higher straight. So in this situation, I am going to make a big raise on the turn here. I've talked about this in many videos here on the channel. You never want to be slow playing, especially against amateur poker players in a situation like this, but they decide to make the call. So let's go see the river now of the jack of hearts. They check. What should you do here? Guys, you just want to bet the pot here. There's no reason to screw around. Clearly, this player has something in this situation and you want to make them pay. They go deep into the tank and they flip over the old pocket aces only to see the bad news that they were drawing completely dead on the turn. Guys, never do this. It is crucially important that you understand that when somebody makes a big raise against you on the turn or river on a highly coordinated board like this, they have the straight, they have the 2 pair, they have something which crushes your 1 pair hands, and it is incredibly important that you understand that pocket aces and pocket kings are just 1 pair. This is a situation where you absolutely need to be folding your hands. Do not pay off straights like this. That's what amateurs do. Once again, you're better than that. Number 6, limping big hands. Guys, this is another classic mistake of our fishy friends. Let me give you an example. Once again, you are in the big blind and you notice 4 limpers in front of you. Now, limping in poker is when somebody just calls the big blind. I would highly suggest that you do not do this because you are simply announcing your weakness to the table. You allow somebody to raise it up and take control of the pot, and that's not how we win in poker. Aggressive poker is winning poker. Passive poker is losing poker. However, we look down at the 5 deuce of hearts here. Not really an amazing hand, so we decide to just check. So the flop comes down beautiful for us with the 8 of hearts, deuce of clubs, and deuce ace of diamonds. Now, as you guys know, I'm all about fast playing at the poker table, but in a situation like this, I hope you guys have noticed we're in the big blind, which means we are acting first. So I like going for the check here because with 4 other players in the pot here, there's a strong possibility that one of them will make a bet, which will allow us to check raise when the action comes back to us, trapping the maximum amount of money in the middle, which is exactly what you want when we've hit 3 of a kind on the flop. So 1 amateur player makes a bet, 3 people fold, and the action comes back to you. What should you do? You should raise it up big here, but this player calls. So what on earth can they have on the 8 deuce deuce board? Well, there's not a whole lot going on here, guys, and we have 3 of a kind, so I'm not too concerned. The turn comes down with the 6 of spades. You decide to bet the pot. Guys, there's no reason to mess around here. You don't want to check and just allow them to check behind. This is a huge mistake that a lot of people make because it artificially keeps the size of the pot low. You do not want to allow that to happen. In a situation like this, you want to charge them the maximum. So you bet the pot, they call. The river comes down with the 10 of hearts. Once again, guys, just bet the pot. There's no reason to screw around here. Once again, our amateur friend here goes deep into the tank. They make the call with 2 black kings, the king of spades, the king of clubs. Guys, this is a textbook example of why you never want to limp big hands like this. Let me tell you that this is not a bad beat. A lot of people get that twisted. This is just a bad play. And number 7, missing value bets. So guys, a value bet in poker is when you make a bet with the strong belief that you have the best hand. And I will tell you that good poker players never miss value bets. Let me give you an example. So you have the Jack 10 of diamonds, a beautiful hand that I suggest playing in nearly all situations. And let's skip ahead to the river now. On the river, the board reads the 10 of hearts, queen of spades, 4 of hearts, 7 of diamonds, and 9 of hearts. So an amateur poker player decides to check to you here. What should you do? Well, in a situation like this, I often will decide to make a bet here, but hopefully you guys notice that the flush draw did come through on the river. Also, there are a lot of different 2-pair possibilities, straights that have come through on this board, and crucially, we have middle pair with an okay kicker. And what this means is that there are a lot of 1-pair hands that are ahead of us as well. For example, if they have any queen, they have us beat, or even if they have a 10 with a better kicker, for example, an ace 10 or a king 10. So all things considered here, we decide to check behind. They flip over the king of spades and the queen of clubs, and this is a clear blunder on their part because they have missed a value bet. And what I mean by that is that this is a situation where we decided not to bet, but we absolutely would have made the call here if they had a bet. So guys, never do this at the poker table. Always get your value bets in here on the river, especially when you have top pair. Never check behind on the river, even when the flush comes in. All right, guys, like and subscribe if you found this video helpful. And by the way, if you want to know my entire strategy to absolutely crush the small and mid stakes games, make sure you grab a copy of my free poker cheat sheet. That'll be the top link in the description below. All right, guys, thanks a lot for watching. I will catch you next time. All the best at the poker tables, unless you're on mine.